trying to prepare an application. They might be negotiating on an option to buy a property or whatever, and you don't want to be the one that spilled the beans, so to speak.
I've actually been asked multiple times now about certain property. What's going in here? Like, nothing's come before the planning. That's my response.
Yeah. That's specifically what I was talking about. Stuff you hear about on Facebook all the
Like,
time.
nothing has come before the planning commission yet, so I...
You want to be, just generally, you want to be careful. So the bylaws in the BZA bylaws, they actually have a section that talks about ex parte communications. That's not true of the Planning Commission bylaws. So the decision should be approval, conditional approval, or denial. Must meet legal requirements for the type of decision being made. Decision is based on required findings and not on popularity. Findings need to be supported with a written statement of the facts in the record. And so those long staff reports, that's one of their important purposes, is that they provide a factual basis for the decision that's going to be made. And so if there are any questions or comments, I'll be happy to try to entertain those. If not, I'll turn the rest over to Michelle.
Well, now that you've gotten all the details of the meeting, we're going to take a step back to Planning 101. What is planning? Planning works to improve the welfare of the community, creating more convenient, equitable, health, efficient, attractive places for present and future generations. The decisions you make today will affect what the community looks like tomorrow. Planning considers all the stakeholder needs. Can't always make everybody happy, but it has to be a fair process, and all of those needs need to be taken into consideration. Planning looks at the big picture. Again, what are the needs in the community currently and in the future? And we'll talk more about the big picture plans. And again, examining the issues from all the angles. Planning benefits your community, provides choices for where people live, where they shop, where they work. It outlines transportation systems, how you get from one place to another, reduces environmental impacts. We have stormwater regulations regarding building in the floodplain, preserving parks and open space, determining where buildings, businesses, homes, roads, and such will be located. History and background of planning and zoning. American city planning dates back to the 1700s with the layout of the nation's capital. 1916, New York City developed the first zoning ordinance. Later, 1926, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that zoning is constitutional, so that is really the basic foundation that all states use for their designation of zoning. Here's a strategic planning process, a general process that we go through with all of our long-range planning documents, gathering the data, identifying the vision, analysis of information. Something that's not in here is something that we call SWOT analysis. It's analysis of the strengths and the weakness, and identifying the issues and opportunities for whatever the subject is. And then creating the action plans, implementation, and then review. The last two items are just as important as all the rest, because if you make a plan and then sit it on the shelf, it really does no good. You need to have drive to continue to make those plans a reality. And then review them periodically to make sure that they're still meeting the needs of the community. Kansas state statute gives cities and counties the authority to plan and zone, gives authority to create a planning commission, which has the authority to create a comprehensive plan, create and enforce subdivision regulations, create and enforce zoning regulation, which then triggers the creation of the Board of Zoning Appeals. So the state statute outlines the creation of all these different things, and these are the rules that we follow for Kansas planning and zoning. Here's kind of the big picture item. Comprehensive plan, which outlines the community's goals and policies, is really the overarching document for the community. And out of those documents come the implementation of it. We have the subdivision regulations, the zoning ordinance, design standards, and all of those items together work to implement the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. I broke it. I really broke it. I paused it. There we go. Comprehensive plan. It's a broad plan for future community development. It sets forth the policies that guide decision making, both by more so by the Planning Commission and then the City Council. Currently, our comprehensive plan is called the Gardner Community Development Plan. It was adopted in March of '08. Provides guidance regarding future land use, future street network, and growth management. We have just barely started the process of drafting a new plan, and you'll be hearing more about that in the next couple of months when we start gearing up and start doing some public meetings and information gatherings. So look for more to come on that, and we're really excited to get started on that process. Some other plans that we have in the community: we have a Main Street corridor plan, Parks and Rec has a master plan, and then we have a transportation plan, and these are all future long-range planning documents. Subdivision regulations, they're the standards for the subdivision of land. Regulations to achieve efficient and orderly location of streets, reservation and dedication of land for open space, on and off-site public improvements. You're looking at, for that, streets, sidewalks, which I mentioned down below, things like that, drainage and floodplain, and lot dimensions. Really gives you, it sets out that piece of land and it carves it into different lots and allows for the streets to be placed and dedicated, allows for easements for sewer, water, electric, all the other types of utilities to be located. It really just sets the framework for future development, which the zoning regulations talk about. Implements a comprehensive plan and reflects the community's values about the development and process. Really the subdivision regulations kind of do the next level from the big picture of the comprehensive plan. It's the division of land, and then the zoning regulations regulate what's on the land, what it looks like, how many parking spaces you have, all the details of how the property develops is what's included in the zoning regulations. These regulations include both text and a map. The map shows graphically where the different properties are zoned and what zoning district they're identified as, and those together make the regulations. They do control some aesthetics and provide for different processes for land use, changing the zoning regulations, variances from those regulations, special use permits, conditional use permits. And here's a general outline of the planning processes that you'll